We fly safe planes. We don't put airplanes in the air that we don't have 100% confidence in. I'm here today in the spirit of transparency to, number one, recognize the seriousness of what you just asked. Number two, to share everything I can with our Capitol Hill interests and answer all their questions, because they have a lot of them.
Well, in our spotlight, aviation giant Boeing under fire. Is CEO David Calhoun facing lawmakers on Capitol Hill today, answering some tough questions. And this comes amid growing scrutiny for the company after a series of incidents involving Boeing jets, including that door plug that fell out mid-air on an Alaska Airlines flight earlier this month. The FAA is also investigating an incident in Atlanta. A tire fell off of a Delta flight just before takeoff. I want to bring back our panel here, Mike Muse, Rachel Bade, LZ Granderson, and joining us today is our ABC News transportation reporter, Sam Sweeney, on Capitol Hill. So thank you all for being here with us. And Sam, let's start here with you. What happened on the Hill today? What did Boeing CEO really have to say? And then, kind of what happens next here for this aviation giant?
Well, Dave Calhoun came here today. He asked these senators to meet with them. He said, you heard in that soundbite earlier, that this is about transparency and answering the questions by lawmakers, many who represent areas of the country where Boeing is big. Virginia, Senator Warner had questions. Also, Maria Cantwell in Washington. She says she has concerns about Boeing's safety culture, and she wants the best for her employees, Boeing's employees who live there in Washington state. And this comes as they plan to shut down the Washington plant where the 737 MAX is made tomorrow, so they can work on that safety culture, answer questions, and help work with employees as this crisis unfolds.
And Rachel, what might lawmakers have learned from this meeting that could then help them better protect their travelers, right? I mean, there could be a bill that comes out of the Commerce Committee somewhere.
Perhaps, Kana. I mean, Congress certainly has a critical role to do sort of oversight and investigate matters of public interest when it comes to big safety lapses like this. I'm sure they're going to be asking how planes were able to fly when they have these defects, right? I think it is really interesting, as Sam just mentioned, that the CEO of Boeing is clearly trying to do damage control and get ahead of any public grilling that he's going to be getting in the coming weeks, because you can bet he's certainly going to get one. I believe Cantwell said there's going to be a hearing that is going to come up in the next couple of days. And so he's huddling with the leaders of the Senate Commerce Committee, basically trying to sort of smooth things over as much as he can. But this is, as I mentioned, it's a critical role for Congress to sort of get to the bottom of this. And you can bet that this is going to be hard on Boeing. And that CEO is going to be in the hot seat answering these questions. And it's not going to be pretty for him.
Right. And LZ, to you, I mean, do you see Boeing taking a hit here with its track record? I mean, we're talking about this door. We're talking about the entirely separate issue of this wheel falling off, right? That could have just been an issue that happened specifically to that plane with the person that was supposed to put on the wheel. They may not be related at all. But how are American people going to look at that?
Well, it's really interesting. I travel a lot, and we complain about airlines, but we don't necessarily talk about the makers of the jets or makers of planes, right? So I think part of this conversation is about getting the American people caught up as to what planes are with which airlines and which planes are going to which destinations. It's not necessarily us in terms of who's in the bubble of this conversation that you have to worry about. It's the people who actually are just going, I just want to get on a plane. I just want to be safe, right? So it's like, how do you communicate their safety in the industry as a whole? Because no one's really knowing if they're on a Boeing or not, generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're my husband and you just sort of geek out about the plane before you get on every time, he knows all about them, But Mike, I mean, as people start to pick this apart, I do think that the general public, the general traveling public, is raising a lot of questions and concerns. I mean, is Boeing going to be able to, are people going to trust Boeing again?
As they should be asking questions, Kanan should be concerned. But Kanan, if you allow me, I'm going to take off my political hat for a second and put on my former engineering hat. And in my former engineering role, I used to focus on supply chain management and quality control of our suppliers and our manufacturing. I think we're talking about this all wrong from a regulatory perspective, which is great and it's important, but we need to start doing the deep dive of questions regarding manufacturing, quality control, quality assurance, total quality manufacturing, Six Sigma, looking at all the processes from how they're suppliers are doing installs, all the way to when the parts come into Boeing's manufacturing facilities and how the supplier and the manufacturer are talking together. Putting my political hat back on, Kanan, this goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about the cases going before the Supreme Court versus Chevron versus the Natural Resource Defense Council and the Chevron deference of federal agencies. It's interesting how, at the same time, this is being called into question of the Chevron deference over federal agencies.
Yeah, we all need to be safe. And you're right, it starts in the manufacturing sector. Mike, Rachel, Sam, and LZ, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.